Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 201 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish was meant to be done last week. I need to fix my camera. There we go, so it doesn't look like I'm that short, which I'm actually fairly tall according to most people. But this fish was meant to be done last week for our special 200th episode. And it actually came as a request from Mrs. Ping. Now, unfortunately, as I said last week, time got away. This new job, just learning new job stuff, it's got away from me. So here's special 201. Today's fish that we're going to be talking about is bam, Dunkleosteus. So Dunkleosteus is part of the family Dunkleosteidae. The most known species from it is Dunkleosteus torelli. Now, you might notice something different, or you might have seen this picture before. Yes, it is a fossil. Dunkleosteus torelli lived at least around 350 to 382 million years ago. This special request came from Mrs. Ping, who said, "Oh, you should do a Fish Friday on your favorite ancient fish." And it was very easy to pick. I knew as soon as she said that, boom, this was the fish I was going to do. I think it's incredibly cool. But yeah, it is a very good fish. And this fish was mentioned actually in our other video series, which we have not updated in quite a while. Sorry to say that I just flat out did not have the time. Our Hurt Mondays was actually mentioned in one of those videos. But let's delve a little more into this fish. So this fish is, Dunkleosteus has at least 10 species, maybe. It's kind of considered a trash genus. A lot of placoderms, which are essentially placoderms, were fish species that had these really bony plates around it. So basically, if it's like, I don't know what it is, but it's a placoderm, put it in Dunkleosteus. He gets a little fixed in that instance, but you know, it gets better every year. But there's at least 10 species, I would say, in here. So obviously, it being a fossil, all the facts I'm giving you are just kind of like generalized and probably not 100% accurate, but hey, it's the best I could do. It's still a really cool fish. Now, mature Dunkleosteus probably inhabited deep sea locations like other placoderms, but they probably lived in shallow waters during adolescence, and that just seems to hold true with any fish species. Juveniles tend to hang out in shallower waters, maybe migrate to deeper waters as they get older, just simply for food and space and things like that. Dunkleosteus fossils were actually first discovered in 1867 by J. Terrell, which was where you get Dunkleosteus torelli. Terrell was actually a hotel owner and just a general amateur paleontologist. Back in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, amateur scientists were actually very important to the scientific community. Amateur paleontologists, amateur ichthyologists, these people were very, very important to the scientific community because a lot of those types of peoples were actually the ones who discovered new species, new fossils, and situations like that. So it's really, really bizarre. Sorry, I'm getting a notification from work. Don't know why it's not working. Anyway, so they were very important. So it doesn't surprise me that it was an amateur paleontologist who collected them. But he collected them in the cliffs along Lake Erie near Sheffield Lake, Ohio, which is just west of Cleveland in the United States. And apparently that is where a lot of these fossils are found. Actually in the cliffs around Lake Erie. And in fact, the largest collection of Dunkleosteus fossils in the world is actually housed at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. Most people would assume it'd be like the Smithsonian or the New York Natural History Museum. No, it's actually the Cleveland, and that's probably because not only was it Cleveland native who discovered Dunkleosteus, it was actually, his hometown. Now, you'll see specimens of Dunkleosteus on displays in museums throughout the world. Many of them are actually just casts, meaning they're fake. And a lot of them are actually casts of this specimen right here, which is CMNH 5768. And this is probably the most popular picture of this genus in the world, is actually from this. It is the largest well-preserved specimen of Dunkleosteus terrelli, so it would make sense that they would copy from this. And the original is actually on display in the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, which makes sense, obviously. And I should mention Dunkleosteus terrelli. It is the type species, meaning it is the species that defines the genus, and it is actually the largest and best known species of the genus, so this one is very much there. The size estimates for this range of species actually go from 4.1 to 10 meters, which is 13 to 33 feet, but that's actually become much disputed. Anything greater than 4.5 meters, which is about 16 feet, are actually basically, I don't want to say proven wrong, but we can basically say they were proven wrong. And there's a nice little graph that shows you the estimates from here. So these are all estimations of Dunkleosteus terrelli's size. So one of the oldest ones had it at 6 meters, then it had it at 10 meters, then this one was like, no, it's shorter and fatter, 8.79. Now it seems to be more on the 4.1 meter range. Still very thick bodied. Obviously you would need plenty of muscle power to have this much thick armor plating on its head and, be able to swim basically. I mean, the skulls of this specimen are about 60 to 70 centimeters, which is 24 to 28 inches in length. So, 2 foot long head, probably equidistant in height, maybe even a little taller. So 2 foot by 2 foot. And this thing is a tank. I mean, it is a tank. And that's how you identify it. Its most distinctive feature is the fact it has this armored head, and it's an armored, body basically. They were probably fused together or held together through tight skin, and it has a shield. It is a shield basically. But it's very, very rare to find one of this quality. This would be, it's no wonder this one's so sought after and so well known, because most of the time only 5% of Dunkleosteus specimens actually have more than a quarter of their skeleton preserved. Most of them are like this, just like a singular little bite plate. I should mention this right here is actually the largest known piece of a specimen. So this piece right here is larger, and it's going to be that lower sort of jawbone in quotation marks. This piece right here is actually larger than the one that's on the largest well-preserved one. It's just, there. In terms of how they looked, this is kind of how it looked. People thought they looked in 2017. This was a more recent drawing. Why we went from this beautiful sort of penciled drawing to something that looks like it's out of cartoon, I don't know, but this is kind of like the most recent interpretation of what Dunkleosteus sort of looks like. I hope it's some sort of mixture and it actually looks like this and looks a lot cooler than this, but you can see how the plates extended really far back on there. But kind of on their jaw bones, and this is sort of the interesting fact we're going to end the video on, is Dunkleosteus torelli actually possessed a 4-bar linkage mechanism for jaw opening, which is really, really bizarre. It had it basically connected the skull to the lower jaw, to the upper jaw muscles, thoracic shield. Basically, it really connected everything into movable joints that allowed it to stay very, very protected and still maintain its tank form. But those jaw muscles actually allow it to it gives it its mechanisms for biting. And a lot of people have known for a while that were like, hey, Dunkleosteus probably had one of the strongest bite forces in the world, in history. And that's definitely the fact. But what surprised me was actually twofold. What surprised me was there was a study that came out on how fast they did it. Now, they obviously, these are all estimation based on, biophysics and things like that. But apparently a paper came out saying that they could open their jaw in 20 milliseconds and complete the whole process of opening and closing their mouth in 50 to 60 milliseconds. That's comparable to fish nowadays that use suction feeding, meaning that this fish was probably much more of an active feeder. It's basically because of some other food stuff that's been found in there and how fast they can open this jaw. It actually suggests that Dunkleosteus torelli was more adapted to eat prey that was free swimming, that was armored, such as ammonites and other placoderms, rather than just being a sit there ambush predator that used its tank to shield and basically just eventually got to hold something to eat. It was actually a suction feeder, which is really neat. Now, the bite force that the Dunkleosteus torelli could predict was insane. It was estimated to be over 4,400 newtons, which would equate to 450 kilograms per foot or 992 pounds per foot. That is an absolute insane. But that's just at the tip. At the actual blade edge, which would actually have more pressure, it was estimated, and I got to look at my notes because these are so many numbers. It was estimated to be 5,363 newtons at the blade edge, or even up to 7,495 newtons, which would equate to 764 kilograms per foot, or 1,685 pounds per square foot. That is an absolutely devastating bite. Its bite force is considered the highest of any living or fossil fish and among the highest of any animal. Basically, it allowed it to cut through cuticle or dermal armor. I am always of the opinion, and I believe there is some research that supports this, that Dunkleosteus was actually a major predator of the turtle named Archelon, which is one of the largest sea turtles to ever eat. So it is a truly bizarre fish, and it was definitely so easy for me to pick this because this is an armored tank. No matter its size, it is an armored tank that if it had bitten you, you would have been bitten so fast it wouldn't have even mattered. You were just immediately dead. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Cannot believe we've gotten to 201 episodes. It is absolutely bizarre. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. Regardless if I don't see you again, take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and peace.